Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. I know, I shouldn't even bother with all these gossiping, no pussy getting bloggers. Fashion show in Gotham, I need another costume. Peter's mad cause I made a jacket out of possum. Awesome, Steve Jobs mixed with Steve Austin. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
And I'm Harley Neville. And who was that?
That was my favourite artist at the moment, Kanye West, off his new album.
All right.
The Life of Pablo. But I just enjoyed that no pussy getting bloggers
Right.
line. I thought that was quite good. So congratulations to him. I've got a little bit to talk about with him. And I suppose we might as well do it right off the bat, since we're on the subject. He had another outburst. Kanye West had another outburst. So we talked a little bit about the Taylor Swift thing, and then Saturday Night Live, before his performance, he did 2 songs on Saturday Night Live, and then apparently they recorded this audio.
Look at that shit. They took my fucking stage off of SNL. Without asking me. Now I'm gone. That and Taylor Swift, fake ass. Y'all ain't gonna do this. We breaking the motherfucking internet. I'm into 6 years of this fucking shit. Let's get to it, bro. Let's get to it, bro. Are they fucking crazy? Bro, by 50%. Stanley Kubrick. Apostle Paul. Fucking Picasso and Escobar. By 50% more influential than any other human being. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. By 50%, dead or alive. By 50% for the next 1,000 years. Stanley Kubrick. Yay.
Which was before, like, when he was setting up to do the show, which was, you know, him sort of spazzing out. And have you heard this? Have you heard what he said? Well, basically, he said he kind of flipped out, and it was basically because apparently they removed his little stage from the Saturday Night Live stage because it was causing weird reflections with the lights. And then when he found out about it, you know, he was very unsatisfied and kind of went on a bit of a rant, which someone was recording. But he said, in his rant, he called Taylor Swift a fake-ass bitch. But he also said that he was 50% more influential, well, than anyone dead or alive. But then called out specifically Picasso, Pablo Escobar, the Apostle Paul, and this is the one where he lost me. Stanley Kubrick, 50% more influential than those specifically. He's done the maths, and his calculations have come up with a 50% more influence his lifetime over these people. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, why are you encouraging this man by listening to his music? He's clearly beyond delusional, but he is a dick. I went to his concert a few moons back, and I went along, and I was about in the middle of the sort of the crowd kind of thing, and I was using the big screen quite a lot, because, you know, when I was looking at him, he was kind of just this little person, you know, sort of a couple of 100 meters away or whatever, whereas, or maybe not that far, but you know what I mean, and whereas on the big screen I could see the close-ups and I could see the emotion in his face, you know, and at this time I was still interested in Kanye a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, gold digger, I miss you, gold digger. You broke. You know, I was on board for that. And then so I was enjoying the big screen coverage, and then he was sort of singing, and then he stopped. He goes, yo, stop the music, stop everything. And everyone was like, whoa, what's this? What the fuck's going on? And he was like, can you tell the cameraman to stop getting so close up in my face? Looking up at my nose and shit, seeing my boogers and stuff? Stay loose, man, stay loose. And then the cameraman had to, doing the big screen, had to cover him in a much wider shot. For me, I was like, okay, so now I can see the same thing in reality or on the big screen. Thank you, Kanye, you fuckhead. And then I hung out for a couple more songs, and I was like, you know what, this is actually kind of shit. And then he stopped for a while. Again, he stopped, and he went on this big, long, kind of incoherent ramble about his mum.
Yep.
And at first I thought it was part of the show. I was like, yeah, cool. What's this about? This is cool. And then after a while, I realized that it wasn't really part of the show. It was just him up there on his soapbox rambling about stuff, but it wasn't interesting or compelling or thought provoking.
It was just like trying to bare his soul. He'd just lost his mother.
Yeah, but he wasn't saying anything interesting about it. He was it was like, I can't even really remember exactly what it was now, but it was kind of like, I wasn't compelled. But when I go to a live concert, I do want to hear that stuff. I want to see the artist sort of talking to me and feel like I'm seeing something that you can't see on the music video.
That's what he was doing. He's bearing his soul.
Yeah, but he did a shit job at it, and he went on for too long. And then eventually it was kind of like, all right, this ain't America, bro. This is New Zealand. Like, fucking get on with it. And people in the audience were kind of like, yeah, all right. And then, eventually started singing again. And then, but then I left. I left before the concert finished because I was bored because his show was shit. But Nas opened for him, and Nas was really good. And Nas' show was excellent.
Well, why do I keep listening to him? Because he keeps making good music. And at the end of the day, this is the thing is that he is doing some of the most interesting hip hop, and his new album just confirms this. He is doing, and it's quite a religious sort of themed album, this one, and I'm not in any way religious, but I respect the artistry involved here, and he clearly really cares about his music. He's clearly really good at music. He's just not good at life. He's just not good at the rest of life. He's the classic tale of your dreams,
the misunderstood genius.
Well, misunderstood genius, but your dreams come true and your real personality blossoms. And his is kind of a very talented but super egotistical arsehole. That has been the trajectory of his career. He does really interesting things, but the person he is and the level of fame that he's reached have sort of warped and exploded the negative aspects of his personality. And I think it's just one of those things. Is like back in the day, he would have been like, look, man, I really feel like I'm the best of all time. And they're like, shut up, Kanye. You live with your mum and you're selling beats for $100, and your rap style is a bit shit. And he would go, oh yeah, well, one day I'm gonna be. And everyone was like, yeah, well, whatever. And then at a certain point, he did become that, and now no one can tell him shut up anymore. They can say, shut up, you sound like an idiot and you're saying stupid stuff. But, this whole rant was clearly to his crew. His crew aren't going to tell him to shut up. They're going to be like, yeah, they disrespected you, Kanye. They disrespected you. There's the problem is, it's the Michael Jackson syndrome. It's losing all touch also to the real world and real people that kind of can put you in your place and go, hang on, you're just talking shit. You're just talking shit. You don't know what you're talking about anymore. But, that's Kanye West for another episode of we're going to have the Kanye Corner. Guys, Kanye Corner.
I certainly hope not.
Talk about Kanye West.
I certainly hope not.
And what he's doing. But yeah, 50% more influential. Like Picasso, no, definitely not. Pablo Escobar, no. The Apostle Paul, is he a real person? Was he actually a real person?
I think he was. Didn't he write one of the books, like
the
Book of Paul or something like that in the Bible?
I thought he was just a guy in the Bible. So
right.
We didn't even know if he was real.
Well, don't quote me. I could be wrong, but I think he was real.
And
I think he was real in as long as you think that Jesus was real.
Right.
Which... again, questionable.
Yeah, so Stanley Kubrick, though, I've been on board the Kanye train for a long time, but then he just had to bring Stanley, he had to bring my mentor My hero into it with the 50% better or more influential than Stanley Kubrick. For starters, you've got to really live like 30, 40 years of making art before you can say you're 50% more influential than anyone. But to be honest, you know, rap albums, I don't really think, like, some of these rap albums may stick around, but I don't really think they're going to have the same kind of lasting impact.
It's Picasso.
Or as a Shining or Full Metal Jacket. 2001 A Space Odyssey, come on, Kanye. But, you know, that's his mindset right now. I think it's an interesting window into his mindset on a day-to-day basis. Thank you very much, Kanye West. What have you got?
I went to the Gay Pride Parade the other day.
Yeah, I saw a photo of that on Instagram.
Instagrizzle, and it was good. It was very fun. It was quite interesting, and there was a lot
of proud people there.
a lot of gays with pride walking around.
Yeah.
And it was good. But I did notice I was sitting sort of at this table outside a bar and with Angie, and Angie went to the toilet.
Yeah.
And so I was just sitting there by myself, and I looked behind me and I saw these two guys with big beards, you know, kind of like big, you know, not fat guys, but big guys with beards, you know, walking down the street.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling. I was like, these are bears. These are very clearly bears that have come along to the Gay Pride Parade. And then so I looked at them, right, and I turned back, and so they were behind me, walking towards me, right.
Yeah.
And I had a little bet with myself as to what they would do when they reached me, because I was wearing a wife beater, so I was wearing a singlet with my beard and my hairy shoulders out.
Yeah.
And the
only time looking disgusting is acceptable.
The only time my hairy shoulders are actually appreciated is at the Gay Pride Parade.
Yep.
And so anyway, I sort of thought to myself, I bet they're going to do the casual over-shoulder look to get it to see if the face matches the drapes, you know? We do it all the time. Like, you know, you see a hot chick from behind, and like you're like, oh, all right, and then as you're casually walking past, you've casually sort of throw a look over your shoulder,
back, like just what's going on back there?
No, not even like I'm not looking at you specifically. I just happen to be turning to look that way at the same time.
I just need to know what is behind me that I've gone past that I'm never going to see again. I just need to know that now.
I'm just curious. I was just looking that way.
Yeah. What if someone's walking quickly? I don't know. I might be in their way. I better look back directly at this girl.
Well, they both did it.
The turn and look.
Right on cue. They both did it. So I felt the way that a woman feels, and I realized that we are nowhere near as subtle as we think we are. Like, not at all. Like, honestly, I was like, I bet these guys do the turn and look, and then they did the turn and look.
Yeah.
And clearly, we that trick, I think chicks know about it.
Yeah. You really need to do it like it's like the stop to adjust your shoe or something. You need to throw something into it, you know, to really, or like you're taking off your jacket, you got to look back to, you know, get the shoulders off.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to really, now we've got to evolve the game a little bit more.
Yeah, but you walk down Ponsonby Road, you'll be taking your jacket on and off every 20 metres.
Well, that's basically what you got to do. You reset it.
Yeah, up, you know, doing your shoes, changing shoes, take your pants off. Also, the bears, the beer lovers were marching past sort of as part of the parade as well, and I was standing on the sideline, and I saw one of them like look at me and point. Like, hey, what about that beer? And then they all had a look, and then they turned the sign for me, which said like beer New Zealand or something like that.
Yeah.
So for my selfie, so I could do a selfie with them in the background.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. It was good fun. I felt like I had a community.
Well, it was, you know, like the days of girls checking you out are gone. Now you can enjoy and bask in these men checking you out and remember your youth.
Yeah, like I'm still sexy. Someone still wants me. Yeah,
it's like that.
10,000 spoons when all you want is a vagina.
It's like that scene in Boogie Nights at the end where he's trying to talk himself into getting a boner, and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and he pulls out his cock, and he's like, "Yeah, you are the man." You know, blah blah blah. That's you at the game, right?
But just desperately trying to desperately trying to make it work for me. You know, any port in a storm.
You're sexy.
Any port in a storm. Eh?
You're the man.
Speaking of getting hard and wanking, just harking back to, I think it was last week's topic where we spoke of trying to get a boner before, or having a semi before shooting a sex scene.
Yeah.
And that idea. Well, there was one bit that I neglected to mention in that conversation. Now, the conversation was about the idea that you've got to wear a cock sock and you want to pump up your dick a little bit before the take so that, you know, you don't look like you've got a tiny little penis. So everybody doesn't realize. Nobody realizes what a tiny little penis you've got. So you get sort of half a boner in order to, disguise that fact. Yep. Now, one thing I neglected to mention, and I said to you, no, it's ridiculous. You couldn't do it. It's not practical. And you said, no, people do it all the time. It'll be fine. Yeah. Now, I neglected to mention, I kind of kept it to myself. I did try that on I Survived the Zombie Holocaust. I did try that. When in my nude scene in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, before I after I put the cock sock on, I was, which was literally a sock with with one of the wardrobe girls' headbands, hair bands, whatever it is, wrapped around it. Yeah. I tried to sort of, chub it up a little bit. I was kind of like, because I'm about to walk out there naked and everybody's going to be looking at me and I need to be packing something, right? Yeah. I'm sure Mike Edward...
Well, it's especially after you've seen Mike Edward.
Because Mike Edward was, packing dong. He was swinging dong and, aside from the fact that he was physically my superior in every way as it was, there was also, the penis thing.
You just wanted something.
So I needed to, sort of stand up for myself, so to speak. And so anyway, I did try to kind of, wake it up, sort of have a bit of a rub around there. But in all honesty, it just didn't work because it wasn't the time. I wasn't like, I'm going to have sex now. It was like, I'm going to go and stand around in front of a bunch of people, and including my friends. And
it was probably too cold, though.
Well, it was also freezing cold. That didn't help.
Because sometimes there's no reviving it. Yeah. Certain situations, revival is not an option. Yeah. That's DOA. That penis is DOA on arrival.
just dead on arrival. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so basically it definitely didn't work for me. Now, it didn't help that it was negative fucking 3 degrees or something while we were filming.
Yeah.
But, did not work. Was not practical.
Okay, let me pose a question to you, right?
Okay.
If your package is looking kind of big, but it's the result really of your balls, is that a win?
Well, it's better than...
Nothing.
Nothing, right?
Yeah. But I just had this thought.
Wait, are you speaking from personal experience here? Where you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, my penis is quite tiny, but my balls are big, and they pack out my undies. They pack out my budgie smugglers.
I was thinking, look, if something's not filling out, if your penis isn't filling out, your balls can still do that job, right? They can still create a sizable bulge.
Yeah.
So... is that still fine?
No, it's better than nothing. I don't think it would work in a cock sock situation, really.
Not really, nah.
But it's still better than nothing. Like, say you were in your undies and, it'd be better to have a small penis and big balls than just a small penis and small balls, right?
That's true.
Holla if you feel me. Now all this talk of dicks and balls and stuff. I was talking to my mum the other day.
Yeah.
Good segue. And I said
about this stuff.
And she said, "Don't worry about your small dick and balls, Harley. Don't worry about it."
She said, I watched the film a bunch of times and I never noticed, Harley. Never even noticed that.
So she said about how she at her work she listens to music while she's working, and I said, "Oh, you should listen to the podcast, Mum." And she was like, "Oh, I do. I've tried. I do listen to it sometimes, but I can't get through a full episode. It's just too boring." They didn't even sugarcoat it for me.
Yeah,
I was like, "Mum, it's just too boring." Yeah. But then she did kind of say, well, also I don't really feel like I want to hear my son talking about that type of stuff. Yeah. And at the time I was kind of like, what is she talking about? What stuff does she mean? But then now,
just
reflecting upon this conversation, I guess
horrific.
So many things that I've spoken about that would be quite uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
For Mum. So if you're listening, Mum,
sorry about that.
Still tune in next week.
Sorry about being so boring, Harley's mum.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, I like that she didn't
Jerry,
sugarcoat it.
sorry about that, Jerry.
I like that she didn't sugarcoat it for me. She thinks it's boring, that's fine.
Well, look, my mum's had the same sort of appraisal, to be honest. You
Yeah.
know, she's like, I tune in from time to time, but really, it's a bit of an effort. I'm only really tuning in to see if I can glean some information, you know, because you don't talk to me on the phone. You're a horrible son. And that's why I have to listen to your fucking podcast to know
find
anything about your life, you
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Yeah, especially now that you're not on Facebook.
Yeah. No,
'Cause
I'm a ghost.
my mum at least can keep sort of abreast of what I'm up to via Facebook.
Not that I'm sure that she's a big fan of your Facebook either, really.
Nah, my mum's sense of humour is pretty good. I think things I post are a little bit different to actually hearing me sort of sitting here talking about my dick and balls and trying to have half a wank before putting a cock sock on. You know? So
I feel that. I feel that.
Ben Fowler, long-time listener.
Yeah.
He is part of the Sideways Productions gang, along with another chap called Alan George and their kind of posse. Now, these guys have been listening for a long time. They have been listening basically from the start. They are probably our most consistent and longest-serving listeners.
Apart from Liam Hegarty, of course.
Apart from no, well, actually, I think they listened before Liam. I think they just watched from the shadows. You know,
Like Batman.
like Batman.
Yeah.
Ben Fowler and Alan George
are the
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin of
You can
the Guy and
decide-
Harley podcast.
They can decide which one's which. But Batman and Robin, they have been listening for a long time, and it was Ben Fowler's 30th birthday the other day. So look, I wanted to say a big shout out to you guys for listening. Big shout out to Ben. Happy birthday to Ben. And to tell all of you other listeners to check out Sideways Productions. You can find them on Facebook and just Google them. And they make short films. They are always getting into Tropfest and doing really
being
well.
nominated for awards and
Yep.
shortlisted for best films and stuff like that. I think Alan's script, I can't remember the name of it, was just recently nominated for best comedy at like the LA Web Fest or LA for some fest, which is really good because, you know, whenever like our humor's translating sort of universally, it's probably pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. Well, they also, I acted in their 48-hour film in 2015, ended halfway through 2015. It was
The
called-
best short that you've been in.
It was definitely the best. Yeah, it was the
Well,
best.
the best 48.
It was the best 48-hour film I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Arguably
And
the best short.
it got nominated for best film, and it was in the finals, but didn't quite.
And
get it,
won
but-
best editing, didn't it?
And and it won best editor. And
It was
also
very
got
well constructed.
nominated for best actress as well. And so anyway, that's on line somewhere. And that's called The Forest Room, and I acted in it. So I'll probably try and post it as a comment below this, so you guys can check it out. And that's Sideways Productions. So thanks guys.
Well, look, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience. So why is this up late again? Why
is the podcast
Why anything?
another day and a half late again?
Well, because I've been away for the last 3.5 days at the Splore Music Festival. Now, Splore is kind of like this big festival event, maybe the biggest, I'm pretty sure the biggest in New Zealand. It used to be held like biannually, now it's being held annually. Tickets are like $180, you know, if you get in early. It's quite expensive. Basically, they have bands sort of playing non-stop through this sort of 3-day period, including like big acts.
24/3.
What's that?
24/3. They're playing 24/3.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not 24/7. It's 3 days. So they're playing 24 hours a day.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, I'm asking you, are they playing 24/3?
Well, no, they're not actually. They're not even playing 24 hours a day. They
Right.
stop at like 2 a.m.
Right.
or 3 a.m.
And then what happens? Everyone goes to bed.
Yeah, well, in fact, I think they go pretty late, and I think some areas do play. Like we were in an area called Shenanigans Lane, and I'm pretty sure some of those that like they didn't necessarily have a set, but there was music playing pretty much all night, and then into the morning, and then you start up and you do it all over again.
What do you eat for breakfast?
Well, I will say, you know, one of the highlights of the festival was the food there. They had lots of good food, just sort of like vendors all along, like in a row, and you know, there's all sorts there. Fatima's, I was a big fan of, And but just like a whole bunch of, they had like Jamaican jerk chicken and all sorts of good stuff. So that was probably one of the good takeaways from the weekend, was the food. Lots of good food there, and like the setup is quite good because they've got all these different stages and all these different areas. So it means that even the main stage is not ever really super packed out that you can't move, sort of thing. And people are kind of, all the patrons are sort of spread out in this very, very large space of land. And also, if you get sick of something, you're like, nah, you know what, I'm not really feeling this band, just walk to another one, or a DJ or whatever, and that's really good. And it is a beautiful area. It's like sort of the main stage is right next to this amazing beach.
Was there lots of people passing around doobies?
There was a lot of weed in the air, obviously somewhat covertly passed around a little bit, I think. And, because there was a security presence and there were police about as well from time to time. But, it was a pretty good atmosphere, and I think the setup there is really good. So if you like music festivals, I would highly recommend this one. Now, me, I don't really like music festivals.
Yeah, why were you even
I don't
there?
really like live music.
You don't like life.
That's
Now, why
not
were you
true.
there?
That's not fucking true. There's plenty of things about life I enjoy, but music festivals not really one of them. Live music is not really one of them. I always am kind of annoyed by the sound quality of live music, as opposed to, when it's produced. And I also think that comes a little bit from my filmmaking background, as like, I like to see the thing at the end, that truly polished thing that's been sharpened for weeks or months in a studio, in the same way that I don't want people seeing like essentially my rough cuts online.
Yeah, well, I'm essentially the same. I'm kind of with you on that one. I remember, sometimes it's like, oh, do you want to go to this gig? It costs $30, and it's like, well, no, I'll buy the CD actually. Yeah. Then I can listen to it as many times as I want, and B, it'll sound way better.
Yeah. I'm not a big music festival guy at the best of times. This time I was actually working for my girlfriend. I was a receptionist for her Kokoro massage, and so we had a tent, and she and another massage therapist were doing massages there through the weekend, and I was just a receptionist, so I was taking the money and booking in slots, and that was a big success. We basically booked out 2 full days completely, and then Friday was a bit quieter, but I'll get into that. So basically what happened is, so I was just there as a receptionist, wasn't really there because I wanted to be, or because I like music festivals. The first night that we arrived there, mass flooding.
Ooh.
Storm.
Yeah, I think I remember
Tropical cyclone had come through, and we were driving, and then she looked up on the Facebook page, and it was like, sorry, but entry to Splore has been closed. Anyone that's arriving now has to basically park in this like at the bottom of the event in this shitty car park, and then either walk all the way up to the campsites or just sleep in your car or set up your tent down by your car.
Well, how far was it?
It was a fair hike, but maybe a 6-7 minute walk, but in a storm, in a raging storm, and carting a whole bunch of gear, that's pretty horrible. So basically, as we were driving there, we couldn't see the rain was pummeling down, we were going through fog, it was windy, the thing had been cancelled, and that was the whole reason that we left there on the Thursday, was so we could set up her tent for the Friday. So actually we could have stayed home in the comfort, and apparently it wasn't particularly stormy in Auckland itself. We could have stayed in the comfort of our own home, been completely fine, and not weathered this horror show, because this was my descent. This is Dante's 9 Circles of Hell. This was one of the circles, man. I was reluctant to go there in the first place. Then we got there, we couldn't even set up our stuff, and we started setting up the tent, and I didn't have a jacket or anything like that. I got completely drenched, haven't been wetter. It was so wet that as we walked down the main road, a frog bounced along beside us. When was the last time you saw a frog on a main road, Harley? Do you tell me that? It's a fucking frog just ribbiting his way down there. And I was like, this is a joke. And I honestly thought they were going to cancel the festival. And apparently there was actually some consideration that they might do that because no cars could get up this track. And they needed gravel laid, so the gravel guys came at like 7 o'clock to try and lay the gravel, and they couldn't lay the gravel because their gravel truck got stuck. So then about 10, when it had dried out a little bit, they managed to sort of lay that gravel down, and people started going up. But that created this huge backlog, so all the people that arrived on Thursday were now coming on Friday. All the people that were coming on Friday were behind the people on Thursday, and there was just this epic sort of queue of people all the way up. Apparently it was like 4 hours to get from the base to your tent area, which means that Friday was kind of like this total write-off where we just sat there twiddling our thumbs because everyone was just either in their car or setting up. They weren't like doing anything. So, you know, that was pretty damn shit. And then, and then the other 2 days picked up, but I will also say that, you know, there were a lot of hippies there. I'm not a big fan of hippies. And, you know, also you had to pay for a shower. $5 a shower.
That makes sense. How are you going to get all that water up there without... It's not free.
Right? No, it's not, but that's you'd think like between a $180 and $300 ticket
might include a shower a day.
Might include a shitty shower a day.
Yeah.
And so so obviously no one was showering, so everyone was at the beach. And then you would get what I would coin seaweed dick. This is basically, you know, if you dip your balls into salty water, does it clean them? Not really. It just puts a coating of sea salt on your balls, on your sweaty balls, right? It doesn't really clean them.
Did you go for a swim shower?
Oh yeah, so I was just going to the beach every day, but it wasn't real. It was definitely not good. It was not good, and I don't think you like a lot of these people. You know, these hippies have spent three lots of their dole money on going to the festival. You think they're gonna be shelling out $5 for a shower? Fucking forget about it. And also, you know, like
why didn't you shell out $5 for a shower?
Well, but I mean, I was on principle. I was like, fuck this festival. But then also, you know, I think the other thing is it's all on farmland, right? So basically, you're pitching a tent over
cow
shit, and then everyone's stepping and walking through cow shit and trekking cow shit everywhere. So, you know, they talk about this fresh country air, you know, get out of the city. Get out of the city. Get some of that fresh air that you've been dreaming of. Good for your lungs. Look, I was just inhaling cow shit 24/7. That's what I was inhaling. There was nothing fresh about it. So, you know, that was my sort of explore experience. Also ran into a couple of exes on the
couple of exes.
Saw old Kim.com. She initially
pretended she didn't see you.
Feigned a nonce until I sort of went out of my way to like, you know, wave at her.
I think that's what she did to me at the party at my gym.
Hey,
we go to the same gym.
Yeah, just pretend that these people you don't want to see aren't there, and hopefully.
And then I went up and talked to her.
Yeah, well, look, I was tempted to go up and talk to her and start a fight with her, but I didn't.
Just knock her the fuck out.
Yeah. No, just get into a rumble. No, we don't promote violence against women here. I mean,
or violence against anybody.
A war of words is what I meant. You know, of this whole...
There would have been no good. If you had gone... I don't know what happened, but if you had gone up to your ex-girlfriend to start fighting with her about the fact that she didn't help you with the pickups on older, that would have meant that you would have had a horrible, long, protracted, drawn-out screaming match with her.
Yeah.
Then...
You need to forget about me, guy.
And then
you need to forget that I even existed.
And then your girlfriend would be like, what the fuck? Why are you spending time and energy upset about or talking to your ex-girlfriend? Yeah. Fuck that slut, and, you know, shut up. And you're in big trouble now. And then you would have had a big fight with her.
Yeah. So she did do a spot, just said a hello, and that was it. All very amicable. But I also did notice, it did seem that she had placed herself some distance away from us in an intel gathering position, a bit of a surveillance position to see what was going on at the old massage tent. Would have been a huge shock to her system to see me there, because I don't like music festivals.
You don't leave the house.
I try not to.
Outside of work.
As best I can. I try not to, and if it is, it's to go have a drink. So I bumped into her, and then also there was another sighting of, and this one chilled me to my core.
Mm-hmm. I already reckon I know who it's going to be.
Or who's your guess?
I reckon it's her fucking the real crazy one, Jodie.
No.
Oh,
wasn't Jodie. No, this was Carol. So we bumped into a Carol who I was not really. We were just dating.
Yeah.
It really ended quite badly. She accused me of giving her the worst sex of her life. I explained that it takes two people
to have bad
sex. I explained it. And also I said, no way, I've had way worse sex than this. So I don't know what your standards are, but you are way off, girl.
Well, and I disagree with that. I do think that one person can be shit.
Oh yeah.
You can be as amazing as you want to be, but if the other person's no good, the other person's just no good.
So what are you trying to say, Harley?
I'm saying
that could have been her. Oh well, yeah. According to
her, that's you.
According to her, it was me, and so things didn't really.
Was it your tiny little penis and balls?
Well, I
big balls, tiny penis, big balls, tiny penis, giant balls. Was that the problem?
Yeah, because disproportionate. As it was going in, the balls would get in the way.
It's a common problem. amongst us small penis, big balls people.
Big balls,
is a common
Larry.
Problem.
Well, your affectionate nickname for me is Big Balls. I don't really know where that came from.
It came from the time that
you saw my balls.
I was traumatized by seeing your balls when you got out of bed one morning.
Okay.
And I saw up your boxes and I saw your balls.
But okay, that was when I was like 15, right?
Yeah. So now they're huge.
But
I've grown.
But you've only coined that nickname in probably the past year, maybe.
No, I've just been on my mind for 15 years.
My balls have been on your mind.
So
my balls have been on your head.
No, too much.
So anyway, I saw her there, and she was like two people ahead of me in the queue for some food, and I was like, well, I can't get out of this queue because I really want this food. And I'm hungry and I really want this food.
This is the problem: food and talk to my ex, or no food and no conversation with my ex. This is a tough scenario.
Well, I was fortunate because I was rocking this giant, it's not really giant, but it's like a biggish beard. I had a cap on and sunglasses. Mm-hmm. So, I was quite incognito, and she didn't really see me there. She was with her new boyfriend, a big, sort of, portly but towering giant. He kind of looked like if you could imagine.
If they ever listen to this podcast, you are going to get your ass kicked.
How am I going to get my ass kicked?
Because you're going to get your ass kicked by a portly towering giant.
Well, that's right. He looked, if you could imagine, kind of like if you want to Google what the Big Show looks like. The wrestler, Paul White, the Big Show, if you just look up an image of him, he kind of looks like that guy, but he had hair. Big Show was bald. So yeah, they were there, and I was like, but they didn't really see me. And then one other time we were in one of the places listening to some music, and they were like sort of in front of us, and I was like, okay. But we were ultimately safe. But that and then also I dressed up as the Macho Man, Randy Savage, because one night that was like dress up to the Travelers Ball, and everyone just dressed up
the Travelers giant seaweed balls.
Yeah. And so I dressed as the Macho Man, which was a big hit with men and women alike. you know, the men were like, "Hey, Macho Man," and then I would do an impression for them, and they would love that. And then the girls were, you know, attracted to my tights and pale hairy legs. So yeah, Macho Man is a big hit. So if you want, you know, to do well in a dress up, Macho Man Randy Savage is the way to go.
Makes sense.
You got to have legs like me though, or yeah, maybe not.
I actually saw Carol the other day as well. I forgot to say that.
Oh, did you?
I saw Carol and another old school friend, Ellie.
Yep.
And I forgot to mention that to you, but we just talked briefly, and that was about it. And Ellie has gotten very, very hot.
Right.
She is a girl that we went to school with.
Yep.
She's just getting better with age, like a fine wine.
Yep.
So
Normally goes the other way.
yeah, so good for you. If you're listening, good for you. Now, next topic. Moving right on. Ghost TV. This is a filmmaking podcast.
This is a podcast about our lives.
And Ghost TV is a feature film that I acted in, and it is now out on YouTube.
Now, has this been officially released on YouTube?
Well, the director, the creator,
Yep.
put it on YouTube. So yes, when you say officially released, that's as official as it gets.
Yep.
So it is out on YouTube now. It's called Ghost TV. So if you look up, if you look up Ghost TV, I suspect you're going to find a Thai TV show about ghosts. So maybe you look up Ghost TV Movie New Zealand. I reckon you'll find it. Ghost TV Movie New Zealand. Anyway, it's out, and you should go watch it. But don't.
Well, you should watch it with some trepidation. You should watch it knowing that what you'll be watching, you will never get back. That time.
I didn't share it on Facebook.
Right.
When the link came out, I got an email about it, you know, and it was like, I mean, I did share it on the Guy and Harley podcast page because no one gives a shit about that page.
Yeah.
But I didn't share it on my personal Facebook, and basically the reasoning was that A, this was practically 5 years ago that we shot it. B, my acting isn't that great in it. C, you know,
well, the film overall also reflects that.
and D, you know, it's not gonna. I don't feel like it's gonna do me any favors, or even Pigville any favors. If I share Ghost TV and somebody watches it and then they go, "Oh, is this what Older's gonna be like?" You know, or is this what I Survived the Zombie Holocaust is going to be like? And it's like, well, I really feel like we don't want that kind of association, you know?
Yeah.
So I shared it on the Guy and Harley podcast page, but I did not go mainstream with it. Mainstream on the main Facebook. But if you want to watch it, search Ghost TV or go to the Guy and Harley podcast page and just scroll down. It's a full feature film. It's an hour and a half long, hour 20 maybe. And it's there. It's there for your viewing pleasure. That's the first feature film that I was the lead in. Of the two that I've been the lead in.
There you go. It is one of two that I have done this thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, good. I will be sure not to check that out.
I was going to send it to you just for a laugh.
Yeah.
But I didn't get around to it.
Well, you should have just, I guess, with a link, you know, hey, check out this awesome film by these guys.
Yeah. Hey, man, this is cool independent.
Have you
New
seen
Zealand
this?
film. Yeah. Look, I do think it's a cool concept, and I do think it's a big achievement that this film has been made. But my big issue with this particular film is just that it was not polished enough in post production or edited enough, you know, trimmed down enough, you know. Basically, the film is in there still, waiting to come out
because it hasn't been polished enough.
Yes, exactly. What else you got? Oh, speaking of this weekend, I stole your car.
Yeah.
I stole your car because I got a flat tire on my motorbike when I was riding to work the other day.
You know, this motorbike has really been a dud.
It's kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, none of it's expensive to fix, but it's just annoying little things.
Just ongoing issues.
Yeah.
You know, can't go past 90 Ks. Breaks down when it gets slightly wet.
No, that happened once.
Overheats when it gets too wet. Got to charge it up the battery. The battery doesn't stay charged.
No, every now and then I got to charge the battery, but like not too often. Just every once in a while I charge it. Like you should maintain your car as well, guy.
Indicators, it just works.
But yeah, it's a bit fiddly. There's a few things wrong with it. Anyway, the other day I was just turning a corner and suddenly the arse started wobbling and the tire had just like all the air had come out of it. The tire had burst. And so I had to like walk it all the way to work, and I'm just really glad that it didn't happen on the highway, because if that had happened on the highway, I in all seriousness, might be dead. But it happened sort of there. And anyway, I walked to work, and then basically it was trapped at work, and I was like, well, how am I going to get it home? And so I had to Uber home, steal your car the next day, and then I had to lift it into the back of your station wagon by myself. But before I could do that, I had to siphon out the petrol. Now, I've never siphoned out petrol before. This was a new and very manly experience for me. And I learned a new technique, and it went really well, and I was actually quite proud of myself. So
buy a bike. Harley can now give a great blowjob.
Actually, I used a technique where you blow as opposed to suck.
Well, I'm sure there's
Still a
techniques
blowjob,
like that.
But yeah, so anyway, I stole your car for that.
Yeah, well, I guess we should mention, I did actually want to talk about this last week, but I watched Deadpool the other week.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because it was really good.
Yeah. The trailer really didn't inspire me. When I saw it, I was kind of like, oh, so it's that dude from Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place, and he's doing witty, not very funny wisecracks again, like he does in every single film he does, only now he's a superhero.
Yeah, it's really good. I think you would have legitimately enjoyed it yourself. And because, it is the anti-superhero film. It's the anti-superhero film. Basically, it breaks a lot of conventions. The big thing is that it's R-rated, which means that they can do all the violence and swearing that you would hope.
Yeah, like Spawn.
Yeah.
Like
and
Spawn 15 years ago.
Yeah, Spawn's not funny.
Well, that's true.
Spawn's very po-faced and straight. And this is very funny. It pokes fun at Ryan Reynolds himself. It pokes fun at other superhero films, and even the other superhero films that he's been in. And it basically is just really entertaining. And it's been this phenomenon in the US. It grossed, I believe, something like 150 million in its first week. Which is huge for an R-rated film. R-rated films, an amazing opening for an R-rated film is probably something like 30 or 40 million. That's considered a great opening. And so this grossed essentially 3 times that.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what you and I have been saying for quite a number of years here. That, release, you give people what they want, which is these R18 sort of stuff. It's what we originally spoke about doing in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Was the idea was like, oh, don't make it G, don't make it PG-13.
Don't try and trim out like the gore or swearing or
build it and they will come.
Yeah,
shoot it and they will watch.
They did not come.
They did not
for
come.
us.
No,
but for Deadpool they did, and I think it's also just a classic case of counter programming. Is like there's been a lot of superhero films out. They all follow a certain formula. And also, at a certain point, you may love a dish, but if you have that dish 20 times, you're like, you know what? I could really go for something like the opposite of this dish, because I've really had this a lot now, and I think people are getting sort of fat and fed up with the superhero genre, and here comes this film and goes, hey, we're nothing like any of those, and we make a serious point of it, and everyone's like, well, fuck yeah, I'm into it. And it's frustrating because that is not the conventional thing done in Hollywood. In Hollywood, it's like, that was successful. Make something that's like it. Let's replicate that success over and over again instead of going, that was successful. Let's do something that's very different to it for all the people that weren't into that or had their fill of that thing.
Yeah, but that's not a sound business plan because, the idea is you make one thing, doesn't matter what it is, and then you can get away with probably 10 knockoffs of that'll still be profitable. So that's kind of the trick. That's the trick. Make something the same but different, and you'll get away with it right up. 20 times you'll get away with it. And we're just talking about business here. We're talking finance. We're talking money. You're gonna turn a profit.
Well, that's true, but
you see it in music as well. It's the same sort of thing.
But could you make more money offering more diverse things?
No, because you do that afterwards. Once you've really wrung the rag dry, of all the superhero stuff, the PG superhero stuff or the G superhero stuff. Now we'll get a whole bunch. I guarantee it. Now we'll get a whole bunch of R18 ones.
Well, you're going to get a whole bunch of Deadpools. I can tell you that much.
Well, we'll get a whole bunch of those, but also, like I've already seen it online. The Wolverine movie next one will be R18.
Well, that's good because I think the big problem with the Wolverine films, the first one was just not good. Full stop. The second one was pretty cool, but what you want to see is Wolverine beheading people, like putting his claws into people and like kind of
lifting them up,
disemboweling them, yep, and all that stuff. And they always have to shy away from that because you can't see people being seriously impaled in PG-13 films, and it always detracts from the action of what makes that character great. So hopefully that does happen.
I finally got around to seeing Straight Outta Compton.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yep, good film.
They probably should have called it Straight Outta Condoms. But it was pretty good. I
thought of
it wasn't quite an 8 Mile, but it was still pretty good.
Well, I thought of that as a hilarious joke, because they had those straight out of photos.
Yeah.
And I thought of doing a photo of me and my girlfriend lying in bed.
Yeah.
Straight out of condoms.
Yeah.
And her like looking distraught. Well, I was both looking quite distraught.
Yeah.
Like we hadn't used a condom.
Yeah. Well, I thought, after seeing the film, damn, I should have, if I had watched this film when it came out, I would have taken an image of Eazy-E and put him behind it, and I would have said Straight Outta Condoms. Now that would have been good, poor taste, but it was too late now. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, it's done.
But it was a good film, and I do think it's worth a watch. Although I definitely got the impression that a lot of things had been cut out of it. Maybe there was a lot of things that kind of felt like maybe actually had been a lot longer, and there was a lot of more storyline, and then they kind of just cut out some things because it was kind of like, hey man, you should invest some money in like music, and then it's like, here we are in the studio. Another thing I noticed was that the guy playing Ice Cube was a real shit actor, and he consistently annoyed me throughout the whole film. And I think the reason why he got the role is because he looks kind of like him.
Well, I'll tell you why he looks kind of like him.
What's his son?
That's Ice Cube's son.
Right. Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah. But he was not good. Like I kept on. I was just like, man, like this guy sucks. Like all of the.
But have you seen Ice Cube
act? Or have I seen
just be him? Like, to me, he was exactly what Ice Cube is, which is kind of a bad actor, but kind of just him.
Yeah, but Ice Cube in real life, when he was dealing with a record contract, was not a bad actor. He was just a normal person having conversation.
I think he's just a normal person like you see that Ice Cube. Like, I really think that that's what he is like in real life. All the interviews and stuff I've seen with him seem like, to me, he pulled off the essence of Ice Cube. It's just that that's kind of a larger-than-life personality. And so,
I don't know. When they were delivering the lines that were kind of like, hey, man, but what about this? And how come our contract isn't going very well? And how come this guy's got a contract and we don't? And I was kind of like, yeah... shitty delivery.
But is that maybe just too on-the-nose dialogue?
Maybe. Maybe just specifically for that character, and the rest of them were fine, but somebody who wrote his character specifically did a poor job of it. Or that guy was a shit actor who got the job because he's Ice Cube's kid. And I, as a person who didn't know he was Ice Cube's kid, it stuck out to me as a flaw with the film. Right. I didn't know he was Ice Cube's kid. I just thought it was someone that looked like Ice Cube.
See, to me, I was completely the opposite. I was like, whoa.
But did you know that was Ice Cube's kid beforehand? Well, there you go. So you were influenced by it.
Yeah, but only influenced negatively. And in the same sense that I have had less respect going in. I was like, oh, it's his son. So he got the gig because it's his son. And then I watched it and I was like, whoa. He's really fully Ice Cube. Like it's like I'm watching young Ice Cube here.
Right.
So it's like I'm watching Ice Cube from Up in Smoke Tour. So yeah, I didn't really have an issue with that. We should mention another film that has come out, New Zealand film, Penny Black. Penny Black.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I'm probably going to see it on Wednesday. It's only so it's having a very limited release, so it's playing certain screenings in certain cinemas sort of all over the country. You can see all the details for the film at pennyblackmovie.com, and it's got all the details of when and where it's playing. But it is super limited release, so I would advise you to go see it now before it's gone. All the profits from the film are going to food banks or food charities, because part of the film's themes is about excess and waste of food, I think. Now, for me personally, I'd be more worried about the starving actors and feeding them first with profits from the film, personally. But maybe I just don't have as big a heart as these guys. But anyway, it's by a director called Joe Hitchcock. We sort of bump into each other at events and stuff. Super nice guy. Does a lot of sort of cinematography and director photography, and this is his first debut feature film. It's also starring Astra McLaren, who is the lead in our next film, Older, and I'm sure she'll be very good. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and you should support New Zealand films and get out there and watch that.
Yes, you should.
Penny Black the movie. What else you got?
Well, let me see.
I will say I was quite offended by a review that was tweeted to me of the zombie film. Where they basically equated us to the red-headed stepchild of the Kiwi horror comedies and gave us 5.5 out of 10 UK horror scene. Fuck you guys. Come on. That was not a 5.5 movie. God damn it. The illegitimate bastard son of the horror comedies, of the amazing horror comedies coming out of New Zealand, such as What We Do in the Shadows and Deathgasm and Housebound.
Yeah, the highly successful versions of our film.
Yeah, so that's always good. And of course, they did bring up criticisms that I had fixed in the director's cut, which is only available in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
Very, very frustrating.
Yeah, someone's to blame for that.
And it's not us.
It's not us.
And it's not us.
My cousin Corey.
Yeah.
He always puts pictures of his dick on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And he gets away with it because he always does it subtly. It's kind of his game that he does on Facebook. Not super subtle, but he'll just be wearing shorts, right? And it's just a photo of him.
Yeah.
But he'll have, short shorts, and his dick will just be hanging out the bottom.
Yeah.
Where he'll be like, the latest one I saw, he's riding a push bike. He's sitting on a push bike, but his dick's actually out. And that's my brethren. That's my family.
I'm so glad.
That's my cousin Corey.
That I'm not on Facebook.
Corey McGinty.
This is one of the reasons I'm not on Facebook.
I think that's quite hilarious. To be flaunting the Facebook rules so blatantly. But yeah. So anyway, if you want,
his penis will haunt your dreams for many, many years to come.
If you want to see my
as my balls have done for 15 years. His penis and balls will haunt your nightmares and waking moments.
If you want to see my cousin's dick, add Corey McGinty on Facebook.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I better also say I went to the Asia Pacific podcast conference, and it was good. Sorry, hang on. Let me totally start that again. I lied here. I did not go. I got a ticket for it, and I was meant to go, and then I was working both days.
So you couldn't do it.
I kind of could have gone if I'd snuck in the morning, and then on the first morning I kind of just didn't get there in time before work, and then I could have gone after work the next day, and basically I was going to be rushing around. Then I worked later than planned, and blah blah blah. So anyway, I didn't get to it. But I did go to the VIP drinks afterwards and just pretend I'd been at it.
Yeah.
And
nod conclusively when people talked about the
events of the day.
And you were like, yeah, that was my favourite one too.
Yeah. So but that was good though. I sat around and had some drinks and met some podcasters, and so that was with the likes of Chris Hanlon and actually Will wasn't there, but Paul Spain, so all these kind of New Zealand podcasters.
You didn't see Will Fleming from My Kiwi Life.
No, he wasn't there.
I think we should start a new theme for our one.
Yeah, well, I think it's about time. It's
like,
year.
My shitty life.
Yeah, well, maybe we should do that. We'll get the same artist to do the song.
Yeah. But yeah, well, he was at that. He spoke at that. You would know that if you'd attended.
Yeah, but he didn't attend the VIP drinks afterwards because he wasn't important enough.
or because he has a family and real things to do. But he he did say to me, he goes, "How come you weren't at the thing?" And I was like, "Look, to be honest, I had that time free, but I'm really pushing to finish Older at the moment, so I wanted to spend those 2 days sort of hardcore editing Older." And he was like, "Look, man, yeah, I love that." He's like, "I love that you take this so seriously." And I was like, yeah, well, this is all I have.
Yeah, I'm 32 years old. I'm very poor. I have nothing else.
Like, if I didn't take this seriously, what exactly would I be taking seriously at this point? Like, this is it.
Well, that's good though. That's good.
I have nothing.
You need that. That's good. Like, we don't need anything happening. We don't need any kids coming along or anything like that in your life. No. That's not what we need.
No, no kids.
You got to have that dedication. You got to have that drive. You got to have that hunger.
Well, yeah,
and you've got it.
That's all I. That's why. Yeah. So, speaking of Older, and I have been on a editing frenzy, an editing fury. Where I sort of spent a couple of big sort of 16-hour days cutting, and I am now 2 scenes away from having a completed rough cut.
Nice. 2
scenes, and they're not big scenes. We're talking about sort of one 2-minute scene and one 4-minute scene. So I'm thinking this week the first rough cut of Older will be sort of ready, and the composer's doing a lot of work on the music this week as well, so hopefully I'll be able to get that to them, and they'll be able to work on that, and then we'll go to the next cut.
Good.
And the next one, and we'll see you in a year.
Yeah, basically. I keep telling people, hopefully it'll be out this year, towards the end of this year, but I'm secretly kind of like, yeah, maybe not.
Well, I do think, though, also, when I was editing the zombie film, there was a lot of stuff as I was editing that needed to be fixed. And I said as much. And everyone was like, well, just wait till you finish the edit. So I waited till I finished the edit, and all those things still needed fixing. And all those things still needed to be done. So rather than be doing them while I was editing and sort of saving 6 months to a year, we didn't, and so we all had to do that at the end, and that sort of created another sort of delay. And with Older, there's not a whole lot of things that need fixing. There's little bits and pieces here and there, but there's nothing really dramatically sticking out that's just fundamentally broken. In the same way that there was some stuff with the zombie film that you just knew that just needed something that wasn't there. And also in this one, there was a lot of like, let's not put in temp music. Let's just put it in at the end. Let's not do these things now. Let's just do them at the end. And then you have this huge backlog of things. Whereas this one, I haven't been like that. I've been like, let's do all we can right now. Let's get this as polished as it can possibly be. Let's do reshoots as we shoot. As I edit. Let's do all these things so when I come to the end of this first edit, it's a much more complete thing than it was with the zombie film, and therefore it should take a lot less time, because really the hardest edit is the first edit. That's when you're basically choosing all the performances, which is the most time consuming, and constructing the whole thing. You think about it like a house or something. The creating the design and the framework is probably the most time consuming part of it. And then when you're sort of, I don't actually know, I'm not a fucking builder. That
makes sense.
But probably that's the period that is really, because, like, less skilled, it's less of a skilled thing to maybe put up the walls and stuff like that than it is the design and the actual construction of what's going to house everything. Maybe, but I do definitely think that it will take a lot of time to get the plans just right to build a house. The schematics versus if you've got the money versus building the house, which can be done in not that much time if you've got the money to do so. So yeah, I see the analogy. I see the analogy. You see that poor lengthy analogy and see how it sort of works. But yeah, so that's the thing, and I really feel like essentially the next phase of Older is really going to be just trimming things down, cutting things out, and having people watch it and talk to me about what they have problems with or don't like, and then sort of taking all those opinions and sort of doing, you know, these further revisions. But it shouldn't be a real lengthy thing anymore, I don't think.
Well, good. So hopefully the end of this year, Older will be out.
Or at least in festivals.
Yeah, well, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, it's good enough for me too. Anything else that we should talk about? Because I do have work.
No, I think we're all done for this week.
So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining us again on episode 56. And we'll see you next week.
Goodbye. You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.